Hey, welcome. Doc Jones here from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine, and we're having a live webinar. Um, unless you're watching it on YouTube later, and then it's like a resurrected webinar, I guess. But anyway, tonight it's a live webinar, and we're excited to have you all here. We've got a lot of folks um, signing in here from all over the place, and we're going to be going through some fun things. Uh, First of all, um, we're going to do sort of uh, just a welcome to the school. We had a lot of enrollments over the holidays. The price is going to have an increase here shortly, and so folks were, anxious to get lifetime enrollment at a lower expense, which is smart. And we're still doing that, by the way, for a little while. Anyway, but we have a lot of brand new students. And so we're going to kind of show you the ropes a little bit. And for all of you that aren't students yet, we'll show you the school a little bit, and you can kind of get a peek under the bushel and see what it's like in there. We are getting a lot of comments over here and questions. I'm going to be doing a Q&A afterward. Okay, so we'll go through the school stuff, and then I'll do a Q&A. And if you've got questions about the school, or if you've got questions about your lumbago or whatever, we'll just talk about whatever you want for a minute. If you're anyway, I have no idea what I was going to say. All right, so all right, let me just give you a little bit of history about that, how this whole thing got started. I'm a veterinarian, been a veterinarian pushing over 30 years now, and always, from a very early in my practice used herbs, and then not too far into the practice got really serious about herbs, and I started uh, writing a little bit and speaking a little bit, and going to conferences and talking about herbs because I was really excited about it. And anyway, I had a lot of people say, "Hey, you ought to write a book." And so I wrote a book, and and then people said, "Well, we got him to write a book. You should start a school." And so I said, "I can't start a school. I'm a one-man veterinarian. I got a whole bunch of kids, all kinds of irons in the fire with all kinds of other things." Um, I was running an Irish flute store online at the time, irishflutestore.com, which I'm not running anymore. Sold it to a nice friend of mine who's doing a great job. Anyway, just had a lot of stuff going on, but they were very insistent. And so I said, I couldn't even I might get a lesson a month written, or maybe a lesson every 2 or 3 months written. And people said, "We don't care. We'll pay you for it. We'll pay up front." I said, "That's crazy." They said, "Yeah, we're crazy." And they started writing checks. And so now I was thinking I was sort of obligated to write the school because these nice people wrote me checks. So anyway, we jumped in and started doing it. Um, and now the school has become, you know, a vastly more uh, amazing platform and situation than it was 10 years ago when I was doing everything myself part time. Um, and we really have become an extraordinary school. I think you'll see some things today that you'll say, "Holy cow, nobody's doing that." Um, and so a lot of that's due to our staff. A lot of it's due to Evan, who's our IT guy that's managing all of this tonight. He wrote the website and does all kinds of crazy IT magic robot stuff on the website. So we'll show you some of that too. Um, anyway, we're having a great time with the school. Um, it's lifetime enrollment. You pay for it one time and you're in forever. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and show you the school. Um, if you have questions about, I would save the questions for the end. Okay. Um, if you have questions about what I'm talking about at the moment, I'll try and keep an eye going 3 directions at once and catch those. But if your question doesn't get answered, say it again later when I'm doing the Q&A. And if it still doesn't get answered, email it to me and I'll answer it. Okay. info@homegrownherbalist.net. That's the email. info@homegrownherbalist.net. And I'm happy to answer questions if we don't get them to tonight. If we don't get to them tonight, we're going to be doing a lot more of these live webinars. We've done a few in the past, but we have so many students in so many places that you know, I could do a plant walk or a workshop or whatever, and that used to be fine. All the Intermountain West guys would drive over and we'd do it. But now, we have students on every single continent on the planet except for Antarctica. Honestly, I mean, I have students in Australia and New Zealand and South Africa and Guatemala and all over Europe, and I mean, just everywhere, Canada, Central and South America. And it's you know, it's not as fun for those guys if they don't have some actual real interaction. We have a forum and I have my email, but I thought it would be more fun to talk. So we're going to just have more of these live interactions. Um, so that's what we're doing tonight. And we'll probably be doing these very frequently as time goes forward. So let me show you. I'm going to go, we have two websites. All right. There's homegrownherbalist.net and there's Homestead Academy. And they're completely different websites. They have no connection to each other. Well, they have all kinds of connections to each other, but they're two different websites. Like I said, lots of little magic robots saying, "Hey, he's in the school. He should get a discount over there." Right? Anyway, we'll talk about that. But let's have a look first at the commercial site, homegrownherbalist.net, just so you can sort of see. So this is the website most of you have probably been to, and this is where we do all our commercial retail stuff. We sell herbs, we sell herb powders, and we sell essential oils and tinctures and tasty beverage teas and medicinal dry powders, single herbs, just about anything you'd want herbally, you can find. If you're a student, if you're an enrolled student, you will be automatically set up an account over on this site as well. Okay. You have to use your same email that you enrolled with. Okay. So if your email was george@gmail.com, log in on this website as george@gmail.com. It'll ask you to create a password because it won't do that for you. You create a password and then you're in. And then once you're in, students get discounts on things, especially live events. Those are really inexpensive for the students. And it'll show you student pricing. We have a medicine maker kit that you can use with the medicine making series of classes if you want to. And the students get that way cheaper than other guys get it. Okay. Also, there's so you can see the magic buttons here. There's a thing here about the school. You can learn all about the school. We have books and DVDs and stuff too. But if you look over here, so where did I have? I went to online school, right? And then if you go over here, it says student VIP discounts. So sometimes we also do um, significant discounts. Like if I have a product that I'm wanting to get moving, or have too much of it and want to move it along, or just because I feel like I love you and want you to have this one, I'll put those in this area, and students get way better prices on it than anybody else. So again, to find those student VIP discounts, go to online herb school and then go to student VIP discounts. There's also a page with events on it. If we're doing a live event, whether it's an online live event that's free or a paid event, a plant walk or a medicine workshop, or if it's a paid online event, which will also be free for the students, you'll get notifications, listings of those events under the events. There's the blog, and you can read all the blog articles we do. And you can search for things and it's fun. Anyway, that's the commercial site. That's homegrownherbalist.net. All right. The other site is the platform for the school. And this is a pretty new website. This is Homestead Academy, and we own this. I mean, we created this. And it's a platform for several schools. All right. Right now, there's 3 schools on there. There's the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine, which is the one we're talking about. There's the When There Is No Doctor School, which is another of my schools, which is just a little fractional part of the Homegrown Herbalist School. And then there's a school by Sherrick Peck, the Resimax Therapeutics Institute. The Resimax Tuner is a medical device that's astoundingly effective for all kinds of stuff. Go to YouTube sometime and do a search for Tune Out Pain on my channel. Tune Out Pain webinar. Or just go to the commercial website and type Resemax tuner, and there's a link to it there too. But anyway, he's a physical therapist, and he has a master's in brain chemistry or something exciting. So he really understands some important principles that a lot of people don't understand. And he's got a little school here. We're going to be putting up in a couple of weeks another school that's being co-authored by myself and Dr. Jed Adamson, who's a naturopath and an acupuncturist, but he also was the director of emergency medical services for Jerome County, Idaho, for a lot of years. He's an advanced EMT. Spent a lot of his life in the back of an ambulance saving people's lives, and so that school is about emergency response and trauma. And it's not an herb school. It's a what do you do till the ambulance comes, and a lot of that stuff's got nothing to do with herbs. Okay, so that's a separate school that'll be up. And I don't know what we're even going to call it. Doc Jones and Doc Adamson's Emergency School. I don't know what we'll call it. Anyway, it'll be up in a few weeks. But when you get to homesteadacademy.com, that's the website, okay, homesteadacademy.com. If you scroll down, you'll see the 3 schools that are here now. And we'll be adding all kinds of other schools, many of which will have nothing to do with me. I mean, we might have a school on, raising chickens, or a school on how to tan a deer hide. Whatever. It's a basic skills, a homesteading skills kind of platform for things that our grandparents knew like the back of their hand that we have no idea about. We're losing it as a generation. And we don't want to be that generation that drops the ball and loses all that knowledge. So we're going to put up other programs from other folks. But anyway, if you are on this website, you can log in. So you go to the very top, and there's a button here that says log in, and you click it. And then you enter the magic we'll just put in a test one that I made for tonight. Tell it you're human, that's good. And then click login. That's how you're going to get into the school, okay? So now we're logged in. Now we're in the platform, all right? But we're not in the school yet, all right? So we're going to scroll down here and look at the schools, and it says, oh, looky, now I'm enrolled. See, it says I'm enrolled, and I'm enrolled in that one. And this one says USD 475. I don't know what that means. It probably means I'm enrolled. Anyway, if you have enrolled in the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine, it will say continue study, all right? Oh, okay. If you aren't enrolled, it'll say enroll now, all right? And you can click that, and you can buy that school if you want, okay? But if you're already enrolled, it'll say continue study, and you click on that. So here we are clicking on that. Now this is going to take us into the actual school. All right, so now we're in the school. This is the Homegrown Herbalist. Oh, how would I rate this school? I would give that 5 stars. That's a great school. Okay. Maybe that's why we have such a good rating. Anyway, Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. So you can see that you're logged in, because up here it says log out if you want to, right? You can't log out if you're not logged in. So up here will be a little, if you've put in a picture of yourself, it'll be a little picture, and it'll say, hi, Joe, or hi, Betty, or whatever, right? But it won't say that until you actually get into the school. These are the classes. So let's click over here. This is just sort of a landing page that tells people about the school that aren't enrolled yet, right? But if you click over here, these are the lessons, okay? And they're sort of by category. And so if we click on the first category, now we're actually in the school, all right? And now, see, it says, hello, tester. And if I was George, it would say, hello, George, right? And now if you hover over that, if you hover over your name, there's this drop-down menu. And this drop-down menu is really, really powerful. We're going to look at it in a minute, okay? But that's like a critical thing to know, is how to find that menu. That's wonderful, okay? But let's go over here to the classes. And there's different groups of classes, all right? So the first section says getting started, getting finished, and navigating. And this is basically just a bunch of lessons on how to do the school, okay? So this first one's called Getting Started with the Homegrown Herbalist School. There's a little letter here. There's another lesson called Course Navigation, right? And this one has a video. Okay, and so you can watch this video and it'll tell you all about how to navigate the course and get around. These first few are just lessons on how to find anything in the school, right? Then we get to, there's also a lesson on how to use the student forum, okay? You could look at that one. It'll teach you all about the forum. You just click on it. It'll teach you all about the forum. There's a video on how, nope, this one's not a video. This one is a PowerPoint. And so most of the lessons consist of a PowerPoint like this and a video. Some of them just have a PowerPoint, some just have a video. But if it's a substantial, important lesson, it'll have, and if it needs a video, it'll have a video. But there's always a written version like this for the most part. So you just scroll through this and it'll tell you how to use the forum, okay? All right, that's sort of a boring section. Let's look at a more fun section. So the next section is general herbalism. And we can click on this over here, general herbalism. It'll list all the lessons here. And this is the first lesson I would probably do. It's called Learning the Lingo, okay? And that's really all I would tell you. Do learning the lingo and then do whatever you want. Okay, there's no sequential requirement that you have to do, this before you can do that. But learning the lingo is a good idea because we talk about some of the terminology, which I don't use very much anyway, but you'll hear it. And so doesn't hurt to know what a cholegogue is, right? Or a sialagogue. But anyway, let's just click on that lesson. Learning the lingo. And so again, this is a pretty classic example. You're going to have a PowerPoint. Okay, so this is the terminology of herbal actions. Okay, and you can just click here, and it'll go through the lessons. There's a table of contents for most of them, and you can click on that anywhere, and it'll take you to that thing. So if you want to know what an antilithic is, you click on it. Okay, it tells you what the word means, and sort of explains what they do. Antilithics gives you a bunch of examples, right? But that's a very basic sort of lesson. And then there's also a video that you could watch, okay? And I don't know if my sound's probably not turned up, but anyway. And the videos of the lessons are basically me jabbering about the lesson, me going through that written version that we had up above, all right? That's how they work. Anyway, so here I am, staggeringly handsome herbalist in riveting conversation about what the heck a sialagogue is. Okay, so anyway, another important cool thing is that underneath each of these written lessons, there's a little button that says download lesson PDF. Okay, a PDF is just a printable file. So if you click that button, it'll download that lesson to your computer and you can print it or you can store it on a hard drive or something, so that if you ever don't have computer service, you'll still have the school. All right. One of these days, we're probably going to have, we're working on it right now, a printed version that you can buy if you want to. So you'll be able to print your own if you want, or you can have us print it for you and we can do that too. And it'll be probably cheaper than printing it yourself, and probably better quality. But anyway, that's something we're working on. We're also working on making audio files of the videos that you'll be able to download so that you can listen to them while you're mowing the lawn or, washing the dishes, driving. Well, I wouldn't recommend using them while you're driving the car. Some of them are a little mildly sedating. So you probably shouldn't listen to my videos while you're driving the car. But anyway, those audio files are very small and you could keep a lot of them on a little hard drive. Okay, so you'd have them. Video files are huge. And if you downloaded all the videos, which you can't do anyway because they're so huge, the hardware you would need to store all those would be enormous and expensive. There's no reason to do that. If you have the printed version and the audio version, you can listen to me doing the video. And if you want the visual too, you can hold the printed version in front of you and sort of move it a little bit. It'll be just like me being on TV talking about it. Okay. So Anyway, the school written documents are all downloadable. Very soon, an audio version will also be downloadable. Okay, so let's look at the other categories. Let's look at one other thing. Well, we'll do that in a minute. Okay, so in this general herbalism, we have, herb forms and dosing. We have principles of herbal therapy. We have ethics and legalities of herbal practice. So how do you practice as an herbalist and not get thrown into jail, for practicing without a license? We'll teach you how to do that. There's not a state in the United States that licenses herbalists, but there's also probably not a state in the United States that won't let you practice if you do it right. We'll teach you how to do it. Just stay out of hot water. Okay. We're going to talk about herbal cleanses. We're going to talk about some philosophical things about herbalisms. Anyway, cool stuff. The next category here is body systems, functions, dysfunctions, and herbal interactions. Okay, this is a cool category, and there's a bunch of lessons in this section. There's 27 lessons, it looks like, in this section. And this is where we go through, and here's some of the lessons. So, for example, we've got cardiovascular system. We've got digestive system. There's 4 of those. There's one for upper digestive system. There's lower digestive system. There's the plants. There's usually the way it works is you'll have, like, look here. So, for example, digestive system 1. This is where we're going to talk about the function, the anatomy, the physiology, and how the herbs interact with things. Okay, what is the body doing? What are disease processes doing? Okay, and no, I'm sorry. First lesson is anatomy and physiology. What's the body doing? The second lesson is pathology and herbal interactions. Okay, so I got a lower digestive system. That's nice, and I know how it works. That's great. I know what all the structures are and some of the functionality and physiology of it. That's fun. Now, in the second lesson, we teach you the pathology. So, what is diarrhea? What is Crohn's disease? What is irritable bowel syndrome? What is parvovirus in dogs? What is colic in horses? Because remember, the guy that wrote this school is also a veterinarian, right? So for 30 years, I've been a veterinarian using herbs. And for about half that long, third that long, I've had a naturopathic practice for humans. And so we always had 2 practices. If you're a dog, you go to this building. And if you're just sick as a dog, you go to the other building. We'll straighten you out one way or the other. But I have all that information and we share it all. Okay. And so in this lesson, we talk about parvovirus. We talk about colic in horses. If it's different, we talk about it. Otherwise, it's all the same. If your dog has a bladder infection, do what you do for yourself with a bladder infection. That's not different. And we talk about it, those differences and the non-differences. Okay. Anyway, first lesson's anatomy, physiology. Second lesson's disease processes. What's the diseases doing? And how are the herbs helping? Okay. And then the last lesson in the series for lower digestion is just specific information about each plant. What is ginger doing for your guts? What is, there are some other herbs I know. Let's pick one. I'm trying to think of angelica. I had the A rolling around and I couldn't get it out. What does angelica do? Why does it stop diarrhea? Well, it's because it's an antispasmodic and it relaxes things, and now you don't have diarrhea because it's not working so hard. Okay. We talk about the physiology of the plant itself, what it's doing. And if you understand those things, if you understand how the body works, and if you understand what the disease process is, and if you understand what the plant's really doing, you don't have to know a list of stuff that angelica can do because you'll know what the plant's really doing. Right. And so, for example, let's talk about diarrhea, right? We're close enough friends. We can talk about diarrhea for a little while. What is diarrhea? Why does it happen? Well, the reason diarrhea happens is because your colon, which is the very end of your large intestine, his job is to reabsorb water. Okay. Your body puts a lot of water into the gut to keep things sloshing around so it can digest and absorb and make little sugar molecules float around so it can grab them. Fluid dynamics is important in digestion. But when it gets to the end of the system, let's reclaim that water, right? Otherwise, we're going to get dehydrated. And so the colon, one of his really important jobs, one of several important jobs, is to reabsorb water. Well, diarrhea is a hyperactivity of the muscles of the gut. Your gut is lined with smooth muscles, right? And they're pumping things along. That's their job. Okay. And if some of the viruses and some of the bacteria, E. coli, salmonella, parvovirus in dogs, some of these pathogens that attack the intestines, what they do is they hyperactivate those peristaltic muscles in the gut. Okay, so things are moving too fast. And now guess what? The colon can't absorb the water because stuff's not laying around long enough. And out it goes like a fire hose. Okay, well, so what are we going to do? Well, we can do a lot of things. We can use herbs that dry things up, astringent herbs like, you know, rose or, you know, agrimony. There's a crane's bill. There's a lot of herbs that dry things up. We could use herbs that calm nerves like chamomile, peppermint, lemon balm, skullcap, that relax the nerves that are telling the muscles to be silly, right? Have them all have a nap. Or we can take antispasmodic herbs that relax the muscles themselves, like angelica seed. Okay. And so if we relax everything, now it's going to sit. Now the water's going to reabsorb. Now we're not going to have diarrhea. Okay. That's how we talk about things. We talk about things in an understanding of what the body's doing and what the plant's doing. And then it all makes sense. And you can say, oh, well, geez, if it's a muscle relaxant, I bet it would fix my sore back too. Yeah, it would. Okay. It would also fix your cough because it's a muscle relaxant. Okay. That's how we understand things. And that level of understanding, when you really understand the anatomy a little bit and the body functions, the physiology and the herbal actions, that's way better than remembering a list of 100 herbs that all do 10 things. Does that make sense? Okay. So we have systems here: female reproductive, immune system, nervous system, the pancreas. There's a whole nother page of lessons. You know, respiratory system, skin, urinary tract, all those body systems get covered. All right. And there's almost always 3 lessons on each. You know, first one's anatomy, physiology. Second one is disease processes and what the herbs are doing to help. And the third one's just a whole bunch of plants and what they're doing specifically. Okay. So that's how those lessons go for that section. All right. Then what happened? Okay, and the next section of lessons is called illnesses, issues, and herbal interactions. So now we're going to get into some actual specific disease things, right? And so in this section, we're going to have, we'll click on it. We're going to have things like, there's one on herbal first aid. There's one on allergies. There's one on arthritis and inflammation. There's one on cancer. There's going to be 2 on cancer pretty soon. I'm almost got that second one. I've been rehashing that second lesson and making it lots better. In fact, there's going to be 3 on cancer because it'll be the same thing. One of them will be on the plants. You know, we have specific things: fevers, insomnia, high blood pressure. There's an astounding lesson in the school on high blood pressure. My wife wrote this one. She's a naturopath as well, and a midwife. And so she wrote this amazing lesson on hypertension. And it just talks about all kinds of stuff. You know, what the heck is it and what can we do about it? And I'll tell you guys, blood pressure is not something you just fix with a pill, and it's not something you just fix with an herb. There's way more to it than that. A lot of nutritional stuff, a lot of physical movement stuff. Really, this lesson is astoundingly mind-boggling, fantastic. She did an outrageous job on it. So this section is you know, things like that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 lessons just on pain management. Okay, because there's all kinds of different kinds of pain that have all kinds of different kinds of causes, and there's all kinds of great herbs that can fix all those different causes. Okay, there's 5 lessons just on wound management. You know, where we talk about what's happening to the body when it gets wounded and how do we manage all these different kinds of wounds. You know, what do you do for a broken leg? What do you do for a burn? What do you do for, you know, gangrene? What do you do for all kinds of wounds? There's a lesson on venomous bites and stings. What do you do for a rattlesnake bite? What do you do for a Gila monster or a scorpion? Okay. And I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of rattlesnake bites in the vet practice, and guess what? They don't have any trouble at all, and all I use is herbs. Okay. And I have access to everything else. I could buy the antivenom for $500 a bottle if I wanted to, but I don't need to because I know 4 herbs that'll fix it all. Okay. And so the other interesting and useful thing about the school is because I was a veterinarian, I had this piece of paper on the wall that says I can do absolutely anything I want to your dog. I have a license. Okay. And so I could use herbs for rattlesnake bites. If you went to a regular herb with a rattlesnake bite or a gunshot wound or sepsis, he would probably say, you better go to the emergency room. I'm not going to do that. Right. But I was the emergency room. I am the emergency room. And so I used herbs on everything. We learned a lot of stuff. Okay. Um, the next section is veterinary herbalism. And so we have lessons on herb forms and dosing for animals, because sometimes it's a little different. We have some disease process things for animals, because sometimes it's a little different. Most of it's covered in all the other lessons. But I'm starting to do some specific lessons on animals because nobody believes me, right? I keep telling them it doesn't matter if their dog has a bladder infection. Go to the urinary tract lesson, it'll be fine. But they want a dog lesson. So we're going to do a few more dog lessons. But there are some things that are very different. Colic's very different. Parvo's very different. And we're going to get more specific, deeper into what you do for some of these different kinds of cases. The next section is individual plants. Okay. And there's 110 of those and way more coming. I probably have almost that many in the queue this far away from putting up on the school. Most of those were just getting some cosmetic stuff from new platform. But we're doing all kinds of stuff with that too. All right, let's look at one for example, just as an example. Let's go to, Evan says I'm talking too loud. Okay. Let's just click on barberry, all right? So here's an example of an individual plant lesson, okay? Barberry and Oregon grape, and I did these two together because it's exactly the same thing. I mean, they're different plants, but their functions and actions and chemistry, they used to be in the same genus. Anyway, this is pretty typical. All of the plants will have what we call a quick view, all right? And that's just a really short nuts and bolts presentation on, what does this herb do? A little overview there. We talk about safety, drug interactions, dosage, what part do you use? Okay. There's an anatomical, is it anatomical? There's an old vintage botanical drawing with very precise drawings of seeds and flowers and leaves so you can tell what the heck you're looking at. And then we talk about the uses of the plant. We talk about more uses of the plant. And then we talk about the description, the cultivation, and how you harvest it. Okay. These are really short, concise, sweet things. You can look at them on your cell phone when you're out in the boondocks and say, yep, that's what I'm looking at. Yep, that's what I want to do with it when I get home. Right. And again, you can print that. Now, the next lesson is what we call a monograph. Okay. This is all the same lesson, but there's a little quick view, kind of the quick and dirty flashcard version. And then there's this monograph, and the monograph, will be lots deeper and lots bigger. Okay. We can just look and see how many slides. Does it say how many slides are on this one? I don't know. But it's going to be lots more information. Okay. Much more specific and specific situations, specific applications, formulas we use, stuff like that. And then there's usually a video. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 videos on that plant. Okay. One of these is about the monograph we just looked at. So this is, probably a 2-hour video of me going through that monograph. And then there'll be other fun ones of me puttering around the garden or telling a story or a plant talking about barber. Okay. That's a pretty typical single plant lesson. Okay. And there's, like I said, there's over 100 already, and there'll be a lot more of those in the next month or two. Then the next section, we have plant walks. Okay. There's 7 videos here. Me on plant walks. Some are really long, some of them are shorter. There's a section on medicine making. There's 9 lessons on medicine making. Tinctures, glycerites, pills, capsules, lotions, infusions, decoctions, salves, glycerites, anything you can think of that you can make herbal medicine. We have a lesson on it. There's like 9 of those, and they're all in depth. We don't just talk about it. I'm standing there making it, showing how to do it. Okay, really, really great videos. There's a section on herbal gardening. There's a section on case studies. There's a section of live webinars that we've recorded. This webinar will be there. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having, like I said, more of these case studies. Okay. And, I started out saying, I should write up these case studies because I'm doing them all the time, right? People are asking me to help them with stuff and I'm doing the cases. And I would do write-ups on them, but they were really big and really time consuming and really involved and already in all the lessons. And so I thought, you know what? That's too much uh, for. I'm going to push this back a little bit. Okay, Evan says I'm still talking too loud. Anyway, um, writing up every single cool case I do is too much time, and I'd rather be writing more lessons. All right, and so or being on the forum and responding to cases. So what what we're going to do instead is we're going to do live webinars so that you guys can engage and interact. And so, I mean, I get a dozen of these a week, and I'll bring one onto the webinar, and I'll say, okay, this is a nice lady in Belgium, and she has this problem. What do you think we should? And we'll get your feedback and your ideas, and we'll talk about it. And say, okay, well, this is what's happening. That's a great idea. This one's not so good because that'll cause this, you know. And we'll actually go through the cases together. And I think that's going to be a phenomenally useful benefit for the students because that's how you really learn stuff is by really talking about real cases and really thinking about it yourself and really exploring it yourself. I think that's something we're really excited about. We'll probably be doing that at least once a month, maybe twice a month, and we'll probably start that 1st of March. So anyway, that'll be case studies. Okay, so I've kind of showed you lessons and how that works, and I mean, all the categories of lessons. Let's go back over here. I want to show you something else. Remember, I said over here is going to be a little picture of you if you put one in, and your note will say hello, and it'll pull up this menu. If you hover over it, it'll pull up this menu. And this is sort of the magic. All right. There's 3 functions here. Well, 2 functions here for searching. One of them leads you to the 3rd one. The first one is quick search. And with the quick search, you can search any word in any title in the school. All right. And so if I type birch, okay, it'll pull up all the lessons that have birch in the title. It has to be in the title. And then you just click on that and it'll take you to that lesson. Okay. So here we are. There's birch. Okay. The other thing you can do is if you hover over here, if it's not in the title, I don't have a lesson on pyometra or laryngitis or athlete's foot. Okay. And so you can go to the advanced search by clicking here, and it takes you to another page. And the first one is just the title search again. You can do that, right? Words that are in the title. But this lesson content search is the next one. And so if you wanted to do a search for a word that's probably not in the title, but that is probably talked about in one of the lessons, right? Then you can do that. I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. So let's just type insomnia and see what happens. All right, so these are all the lessons where I talk about insomnia. Okay, a lot of these are individual plants. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about insomnia. When I talk about ashwagandha and blue vervain, I did this little video on plants for pain that talks about insomnia. There's a case study here that talks about insomnia. Okay, so there's all these resources that you can look at to learn about insomnia. The third thing is really fun. If we scroll down a little further, there's 4 things. I'm sorry. Remember this important point that there's 3 kinds of people in this world. There's the people who can count and the people who can't. Okay. Anyway, so this is the 3rd of the 2 things I talked about earlier. So this is the student forum. Okay, you can search the forum, and if you just type in the term here or the word, we have a student forum where we've talked about everything. And if you type laryngitis in there, you'll probably pull up a thread where we talked about laryngitis and what to do about it. And it won't just be me saying what to do about it. It'll be lots of other students, some of whom have been graduates for a long time. Okay. And so that's another search option is you can search the forum. And then here's the last one. This is Herbert. All right. And Herbert stands for Herbal Enthusiast Retrieving Botanical Education Resources and Tidbits. Herbert. Okay. And Herbert is a little AI robot. And I know that everybody's scared of AI robots because they're going to take over the world. Herbert doesn't even know there is a world. He just thinks there's the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. And that's the whole universe as far as he knows. But he has access to every single um, thing I've ever written or said. Okay. It's this database that's all he has. So Herbert's not going to go off and pull some information from some blog article written by some guy that knows nothing about anything and present it as important truth. He's not going to do that. He's going to tell you what I think about it. All right. Um, and now he has a dictionary and he speaks English, and so you know he might tell you what the Romans did with it if it's in the definition of the plant in the dictionary. You know what I mean? But almost exclusively, it's going to be content from the school, so you can be way more confident in your searching. Oh, this is a real thing. Okay. Now he's basically just a glorified search engine, uh, and so you know. The good news is he also gives you the resource he looked at to get that information, so you can click on the lessons. So let's just talk to Herbert for a minute. And we just click some things. And what these all say is I know Herbert doesn't know nothing and I ain't scared. I'm just doing this for entertainment and education. All right. Okay, so we're going to talk to Herbert. And most of those are a joke. They're there. So here. Now, for some reason, Herbert thinks he's a cowboy, and we don't know why. We haven't created this AI creature, and he came out talking like a cowboy, and we don't know why he does that. Anyway, so he says, "Howdy, partner. I'm Herbert. I'd love to answer questions." And if you typed a question in here and said, you know, uh, I don't know, we could say, "What's good for cold sores?" Okay. Oh, he's not able to do it. He's not querying the data set. He might not be able to do it because I'm not logged in as a real person. Anyway, when you do it, he'll tell you what's good for cold sores. Lemon balm, by the way, in case you want the spoiler alert. All right. So that's Herbert. Well, there's all those ways to search. You can search by title. You can search by every word in the content, thousands of pages of document. You can search the forum, and you can search with Herbert. Okay, so that's fun. Now, uh, let's talk about this last thing that's very cool, and that is the student forum. Okay, so if you want to go to the forum, again, you hover over your name up here in the corner, and you go down here and you click student forum, and it'll take you to the forum. Okay, so now this is the forum, and these are the categories. Okay, medicinal plants, medicine making, plant identification. All right, case studies. My mother has lumbago. What can I do? Veterinary herbology, midwifery, uh, uh, section on essential oils, nutrition, just about anything. Okay, so let's just click on medicinal herbs. Okay. This is a group of discussions, and so these are the topics, and I haven't been in here for a few days, and so if it's got a little closed envelope, it means I haven't gotten in there yet, or it's had a reply since I was there. But basically, you click on the topic, and we're talking about yucca root here. Okay, and so here I told him what I thought about yucca root. But you can ask questions, you can respond to questions, and this honestly is why I give lifetime enrollment to students. Because why on earth would I want to kick people out when they finally know lots of stuff, right? Because then they can answer questions on the forum. The forum's a great resource. It's a lot of fun. Um, I do encourage people to push this back. Wow, he's saying my mic is really naughty. All right, how's that? Just don't talk so loud. Okay, I'm going to talk very quietly. We don't know why the mic. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to talk very quietly because I'm making the mic grumpy. Right. Anyway, the forum is a fantastic resource. We have a lot of students. I mean, the school's been running for 10 years or something. We have a lot of students that have been there, done that. Okay. A lot of them have herb schools of their own. A lot of them have practices of their own. And so they're seeing stuff and they have experience. And there's a lot of really tremendous depth of resource. And a lot of times I'll log into a thread and two or three people have already said exactly what I would have said or something better. Right. And so that's why we give lifetime enrollment forever. For two reasons. Number one, so that we have those people as a resource to continue to teach and learn, right, from. And number two, I never finish anything. I mean, I keep adding new, fun, cool things. And so I don't want it to be a static thing. And you were in it 2 years ago, but you're not getting this cool new pain lesson. You're not getting this cool new lesson about this cool new plant because you finished and you left. Right? No, I'm not doing that. It's lifetime enrollment. You have access forever to all the new stuff in this school. Okay. Um, so let me say one thing. I just noticed here it says acupuncture mixed in here bothers me. It's not from God. That's right. God did not invent acupuncture. Little Chinese guys. But there is mountains of scientific research that shows that if you poke that needle, it'll do this. Okay. We don't know how it works. The Chinese have all kinds of religious thinking about why it works and philosophical and things. I don't know how it works. Um, I have a brother who's a brain surgeon, and he is like the most scientific guy in the world. You know, prove it or jump in a lake kind of brain, right? And he started doing some acupuncture. And so I had to bust his chops because I'm the crazy herb guy. I said, "So, Mark, how does that acupuncture work?" He says, "I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's, endorphins or tea or little green goblets, but I can measure that it works." Okay. And so we don't teach acupuncture. We don't teach, I mean, I'll occasionally make a reference to Chinese herbal medicine. I'll say Chinese European for this, but we're not teaching, you know, all the Chinese philosophy and, qi and meridians and stuff like that. We're just not covering that. Okay. We're a Western herbalism school, and that's more than enough. Chinese herbalism is getting weird, and I'm not do that. I just use angelic because it's antispasmodic. Okay. I don't care what it's doing to the fire in your spleen. All right. So don't worry about that. But we can learn amazing things from people that think differently than we do, right? I mean, the fact that the Chinese use this herb for this problem, I don't care why they think it works. It works. We can measure that it works. So we can use that herb. And if we understand it from a biochemical standpoint and an anatomy and physiology standpoint, instead of a yin and yang and qi standpoint, good for us. The plant still works. Okay. Okay. Um, and I don't know that there's any comments on that forum section anyway. Don't be scared. All right. Anyway, that's the forum. Um, so let's see. What else were we going to say? Oh, you know what? There's one other thing that I want to show you. Let's go back to school. There's two things. I've made a little list of other fun things that are happening. There's two really cool things that are happening. First of all, and one another cool thing I showed you. There's a whole lesson on herb safety and pregnancy. Okay, this herb's safe for pregnancy. This one's not safe. This herb's safe if you're nursing. This one's not safe. Okay, there's over 100 herbs on that, and you can look up by the name what plant and whether or not it's not safe. That's really valuable. The other thing that we're working on in the same vein is we're creating a whole new section on herbs and pharmaceuticals because herbs and pharmaceuticals often don't play well together. All right. Sometimes they play really well together. Sometimes they play too well together. Right. If you're on a blood thinner and you take an herb that's a blood thinner, that's a bad idea. Right. Too much of a good thing. If you're on insulin and you take an herb that's lowering your blood sugar a lot, that's a bad thing. Um, Sometimes the herbs help the medicine work better, and that's a good thing in some cases, and sometimes they just interact badly. Sometimes the herb makes the medicine go away too fast, and that's no good because now your dose isn't as long. Anyway, pharmacology, herbology really can't combine unless you know some stuff. All right, and that's the first thing I do when I'm doing case. What meds are you taking? And every decision I make about herbals for that case is connected to what drugs they're taking. I'm not going to combine this with that. I can combine those with that, but not this with that. All right. And I know all that stuff. I went to doctor school for years and years and years. I spent a lot of my life in dark rooms looking at slides of drugs. Okay. What they do and how they do it. And so I understand the pharmacology and understand the herbs. I can make those decisions. And I wanted to create a resource so that you guys can make those decisions and say, no, if he's on lisinopril, I'm not giving him any of these herbs. Okay. And that is being created as we speak. One of our professors is Dr. Brandon Rose. He's got a PhD in physiology. He's a researcher for a living. And he and I are writing that section of classes. So that's going to be really cool. And that'll be done. It'll never be done because they invent 1,000 new drugs every year. But it'll be mostly done pretty soon. And as they learn new things or introduce new pharmaceuticals, we'll put them in there. Okay. So that'll be a great resource. The other thing that's really cool we're working on is we're working on a where is it? Right here on the top. And this, I'm just have this here tonight to show you. It probably won't be here tomorrow because we're still working bugs out of it. But right here it says herbal actions, and this is also a search tool. Okay. Um, and we're just starting here. But if I type over here an herbal action, like astringent. Oh, no. Evan just said that Herbert is back. We had too many Herbert first. Oh, okay. Okay. So I typed the word and it gives me suggestions because maybe I don't know how to spell things. Anyway, and down here, these are all a bunch of herbs that are astringents. Okay. So if I had diarrhea and I needed astringent, I could just type astringent and it would list 20 of them. If I click on one of those, it'll give me a lot of information about that plant, what parts are used. And if I want, I can go right to the lesson on that. Okay. And if I want, I can go right to herbs, formulas and stuff that contain that. Right. And so this is going to be a tremendous tool also for finding what you need when you need it. You can also go the other direction. You can say, well, I have some agrimony in my yard. What does it do? And you click on it and it'll give you the lesson down here. First of all, it'll give you the link to the lesson, but it'll also list the action. Oh, it's doing it over here. It'll also list the actions and whether or not it's pregnancy safe. Okay. So it's going to be another fantastic tool based on the action of the herb. All right. So that's fun. That's not done yet. We're still working on that one, but it'll be pretty soon all set. Okay. That's fun. That's happening. All right. So let's go through and answer some questions. If you guys have any questions at all, go ahead and put them up here. And like I said, if we get all pooped out and go home, send me an email and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Just send it to info@homegrownherbalist.net. Okay, so let's just go to the top here and we'll kind of scroll down. A lot of these are just folks saying hello at the beginning, and that's great. Hello from Missouri and Michigan and Arizona. All right. Lots of people saying they like the school. It's negative 9 degrees in North. I'm sorry about that. All right. Um, Here's one. I'd love to be a student, but it's a bit expensive. There is a payment plan available um, that you can use. It's called a firm, and they can make it pretty reasonable. Um, People saying that we helped them with this or that. It's good. Yeah, here's the thing. Army wife says, yes, we've lost that knowledge that was commonplace back in the day. That really is the fundamental driving force of everything I'm doing. Everything about Homegrown School, everything about Homestead Academy is getting that self-reliance back. We just got to do it. Okay. Here's one that says she's learning to garden at night. All right. Okay. Lots of nice comments about the school. Somebody's excited about the audio file coming. That's fun. Um, okay. And Moen, here's an herb. Okay. Um, any advice on ensuring rest? Powdered boswellia turned into a giant glob despite my serving it every day. Used Everclear and hope I achieved good extraction. Would like some clear instruction. So tincturing resins, that's just kind of how it is. Resins are really, really oily and really, really sticky. But when she says resin, she means tree sap. Okay, that's what frankincense or boswellia is, a tree sap. Myrrh is a tree sap. And some of those plants are just so, you know, thick and oily that they are very hard to dissolve into anything. Um, and they're very hard to press, they're very hard to strain, and it makes you feel grumpy when you're doing it. So I wish I had an answer for you. You do want to use Everclear on those. And for those who don't know, Everclear is a much stronger concentration of alcohol than like vodka. I use vodka to tincture almost everything. But if it's a tree sap, if it's really sticky and water resistant, if I can't get it off my hands with soap and water without a fight, I'm going to use Everclear. Okay. Um, Beach Lady says, any part of this herbalist group that meets in person? Absolutely. We do plant walks and live events all the time. And if you live anywhere near the Mountain West, come to those. If you don't live in the Mountain West, come to those. Um, but yeah, we do live events. Um, Linda says, I could go through the school 10 times and still not learn it all. And you know what? That's really true. By the time you get to the end, you'll have forgotten most of it and just start over. That's why we give you lifetime enrollment. So that's fun. Glad you're enjoying it. Okay. Um, okay. Renee says, do you have any experience with cerebrospinal fluid leaks? I have an ongoing problem that creeps up on me every year or two. Having to deal with it right now. Wow, that's hard. So cerebrospinal fluid is the fluid that uh, buffers your spinal cord and your brain. It's just kind of the juice that makes everything happy in there. Um, it's you know, it kind of depends why there's a leak, I guess, Renee. Um, there are some things that can accelerate healing. If you knew where the leak was, if you knew you had an epidural, 10 years ago, and that's where it's leaking from, you might put some comfrey topically over that area. That might accelerate healing of those fibroblasts and cartilage guys and seal that hole up. Other than that, I don't really know. Um, you'd have to know where it was and what was going on. Army wife says, that's why I'm taking the class, doc, because of your veterinary experience with herbs. So thankful to have had you and for your sharing knowledge and experience is incredible. Thank you. Okay. Uh, Linda says, we created a small group in our community to buy, barter, and trade. Yeah, right? That's fantastic. You could also use the forum, the student forum, and say, hey, anybody else live in Alabama? Let's get together and go wildcrafting, you know? Okay. Andrea Fletcher, I'm needing help getting to the school. I joined as a student many years ago and need to start over. Where can I get tech help? Okay, so Andrea, I'm just going to write your name down, Andrea, and I'll send you an email when we're done. So there used to be, years ago when we started this thing, it was on a different platform. It was called Canvas. And that's a platform that's used by universities and big companies all over the world. Anyway, we used them. That's where the old students lived. And then we just when did we start this? 7 years ago, 2 years ago? Anyway, some of the old guys are still migrating over to the new promised land here. If you're an old student and you're not in the new platform yet, shoot me an email and I'll get you squared away, okay? But Andrea, I will send you the info on how to do that. Okay, more people saying hi. All right. Mindy Noker says, so many schools I've looked at are very spiritual or reference the moon and the stars. I'd love to find a class that's more faith-based. Any thoughts on those already registered? I'm registered, so I'll go ahead and answer that. I don't discuss anything. I'm interested in the science, okay? And I believe in God, and I believe in his only begotten son, and he's my savior, and wow, I'd be nothing without him. And I'll occasionally give him credit for inventing something really cool, and make references like that. But we don't talk about anything with Wiccanism or other religious things or other, it's like I was talking about with the Chinese herbalism before. We just don't talk about the religious elements of it. Some people are very bothered by it, and frankly, it's not medicine. We're talking about medicine, okay? So we're faith-based, and we don't talk about, how to pray to the tree or how to pray to Aphrodite, but we don't preach either. It's not an evangelical school, and if you're a Baptist and not a Presbyterian, we love you anyway. We don't care what church you're in, or we don't care if you're a Jewish fellow or a Muslim fellow, or if you don't know what to be. We don't care. We love you anyway. And so we don't do, I stay away from religious topics for those reasons. Because you know what? If a nice Hindu guy wants to learn about herbs, Western herbalism from a veterinarian, I'm not going to beat him up religiously about that. You know what I mean? Anybody of any faith could feel really comfortable in a school. If I do ever say anything religious, it's probably Christian, but it's not evangelically proselyte. Does that make sense? Anyway, we don't talk about getting in touch with your inner, ninja reincarnated warrior. We talk about antispasmodics, so that's good. Okay. We don't have any new age stuff. I'm an old age guy. I'm getting gray. All right. Okay. Okay, let's see. People that are excited. Let's see what else. Love, Doc Jones. I'm an RN and just love adding to my knowledge and applying. We have a lot of RNs in the school. We have a lot of chiropractors in the school. We have a lot of physicians in the school. We have a lot of people that aren't any of those things that are also really smart. We have a lot of really good gardeners in the school. We have a lot of really experienced homesteaders in the school. So again, that forum is a tremendous resource. Teresa says, I reference Jesus many times. I do. I like Jesus. Okay. Let's see. There's lots of other good things. Is there a payment plan? Yes. When you go to checkout, there's a payment plan. Let's see. There's another religious one. It helps in understanding how he wrote of faith in his book. I appreciate the insight. Yeah, okay. So, yep, I do. I mention things, but I don't do it in a denominational way that would, make somebody feel bad. All right. Anything else here? There's a lot of school stuff here. All right. I've already cleared off 2 shelves to make room for the salves and tinctures that I'm growing and making. Good for chemo. All right. All right. The Stelwick Garden Club says, thanks for the wonderful work to offer this intensive course. I will be signing up to become educated by Dr. Jones. Glad to hear it. I would certainly encourage you to do that before January 16th, 2024, because there will be a significant price increase. The school's been absurdly inexpensive for many, many, many years. And part of that was because I wasn't done for many years. I was still trying to get the damn thing together. But because of the resources we're putting into it now, we have 5 faculty members. We have a full-time IT guy. We have, mountains of equipment and computers and video and audio equipment and, services we have to pay for to host videos. And, I just spent really a lot of money buying all kinds of computers to host my own videos. Anyway, it's costing money to do things. But honestly, at the current price, it isn't that much. Even at the new price, that's going to be almost twice what the current price is, it isn't much compared to other schools. There are schools out there that are $4,000 or $5,000 that don't begin to approach the level of information we have and don't give you lifetime access. I was talking to a lady I was down in Utah doing a conference, an herb conference, and this sweet lady was talking to me and said that she had signed up for another very prominent, well-known school. If I said the name of it, you'd go, oh my gosh, yeah, I know them. And I'm not going to say the name of it because they're nice people. But she signed up for the school, paid them I can't remember, $4,000 or $5,000. And then her husband got cancer, and she spent, I don't remember how long she said, a year or something, or 2, helping her husband get through this horrible cancer, and he passed away. And then, the dust settled and life got back to normal, and she could do something again for herself. And she went to get into this school she'd paid all this money for and couldn't get in. And they wouldn't let her in because her time was up. And she called them and said what happened. They said, that's very sad. You can't come in because your time is up. So she spent, $4,000, I think it was, and got nothing. Okay, you won't have that experience with the Homegrown Herbalist School. You pay one time, you have lifetime access. 30 years from now, you'll still be able to get in. And all the new stuff that I'm putting up constantly, you'll have access to, okay? All the stuff in this school. Okay. Now people are saying the sound was bad. We got that part. Are you going to move any of your content to another platforms in case YouTube gets weird about your content? If YouTube gets weird about my content, all my content's on the school. And there are plenty of other places. We're going to be hosting all of our own videos very soon. I mean, Evan's back there with a screwdriver putting the machines together right now. So we'll have our own content hosting anyway. We might make our own channel of our own stuff. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But no, I'm not scared of... YouTube doesn't... As long as you keep the silly rules, they're okay. And if they decide that they're going to make new silly rules that are sillier, maybe we move to somewhere else. But everything I do on YouTube, every video I've ever made is in the school. And it'll always be in the school. And nobody can shut that down. All right? All right. Because that's privately owned stuff, and they don't have control of that. Okay. Okay. And you talked about the acupuncture worrying her. We already talked about that. Don't worry about that. We don't. It's not a mysticism school. We don't talk about any of that stuff. We'll tell you that Chinese people use Bacopa for this and Romania for that, and that's all. Okay. Clark says, I have used Herbert, the AI guy, and he's pretty helpful. Thanks, Evan. Other people saying that they like the school. Yeah, Evan said Herbert got a bit overloaded. Everybody was talking to him at once, apparently. So, anyway, he's working now if you want to ask him something. Okay. Okay, here we go. Deborah Francisco, here's a beautiful thing. She says, I understand. She's talking to Iwa, who was sweet and was worried about the acupuncture. She says, I understand. I'm going to take the information on benefits of acupuncture, of the muscles and the effects and the uses of massage or application that I'm comfortable with in using and that honors God. Okay. That's how I do stuff. I learn stuff from people all the time that don't think anything I think about God. I've learned really cool things that the Incas used to do with herbs, because I used to live in South America, and those guys were praying to all kinds of things, right? But the plants they were using were doing things, and I'm delighted to learn that, right? And so I think we need to be careful not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but we also need to be careful not to stick our head in the tub and inhale, right? So I understand where he was coming from. Don't worry about it. That's not what we're doing here. Okay. Lots of other people joining the school. Jade Phoenix says, I lived in China for a spell and saw some of the bad aspects of traditional Chinese medicine, and so I'm a bit jaded when it comes to it. But they have some stuff I could learn. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's it. There was a very nice old guy named Paul the Apostle a long time ago who said, prove all things, hold fast that which is good. Okay? And sometimes there's a real gem mixed up with all the ugly rocks that are dumb and don't mean anything. And so you take that. Say, oh, that's cool. I can use that. I don't need the other stuff. Okay? You make your own decisions about information. But I don't, ban information because the person teaching it doesn't think what I think about something. That's not a good way to learn stuff. Okay. Let's see. Jade is answering another question. See, this is why I have Jade. This is why we don't kick people out. They answer my questions. She says, you get a ton of in-depth teaching on herbs. For example, 2 hours on burdock and comfrey and dandelion, 2 hours each on each of those plants. Plus in-depth teaching on all the different body systems, how herbs interact with them, and more. So thanks, Jade, for answering that one. So Tonda says, I have a very pregnant niece with a lot of low back pain. Is mullein root safe for her? I know it kicks the crap out of my low back pain. Mullein leaf is safe during pregnancy. I have not used the root or seen studies on the root in pregnancy, so I'd probably be careful with that. What I would do instead is I would spray some hops tincture on it. That'll straighten it right out, and that is safe for pregnancy to use hops topically. Best thing in the world for pain. Try that. You could also use cramp bark, which is an antispasmodic, which will also work internally or topically. That's when safe for pregnancy. Okay. Terry Anderson, will you be bringing an iridology course to your school? Not to the herb school. And I'm not sure that we'll do that on the main platform. My jury's still out on iridology. I don't know very much about it. We'll see if I'll look at it and look at the science and see if there's anything there, if it's just silly. I really don't know. If it's not silly, we'll look at it. Okay, Annette, I love your school. Left the School of Natural Healing to join you. Much more content and relevant with illness, newer than 1980. Plus education on how to treat our pets. Highly recommended. Yeah, that's one of the other big things is, I put up like probably 15 lessons in the last 10 days on individual plants, and I did one on dog stuff, lots of things. The very top lesson in the school is called New Things and Announcements. And if I ever do anything new, I put it in there. It's just a list of what I did. It says, January 10th, add a new quick view on, moringa or whatever plant. I don't know. Anyway, so if you want to see if there's anything new that you've missed, go to that lesson. Okay. The quizzes are easy. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention quizzes. There are quizzes in the school, and you can take them as often as you want. They're just to reinforce your learning. They're all open book. And if you flunk the quiz, take it again. You can take it 100 times. But they're mostly they do two things. First of all, they show me you finished the lesson. And second of all, they reinforce important points. Okay. My daughter and I took your tincture class at PrepperCon years ago. Been hooked ever since. Thanks for making the knowledge available to us. Yeah, PrepperCon's a big prepper convention they do out in the Mountain West. Okay. Does the course cover dog hotspot treatment? Well, we have a lot of lessons on the skin, and I'll tell you what, Earth Zero Apothecary, I will do a lesson on dog hotspots tomorrow and put it on the school. That's the other fun thing, is if you tell me to do something, I do it, right? I had somebody in the forum today say, hey, we don't have a quick view on elecampane, so I'm going to do that tonight too, or not tonight, tomorrow. I have it done, I just need to put it up. Anyway, very, very interested in feedback and requests and what can we do for you, okay? Can you treat black widow bite with your herb formula? Yes, I have treated some black widow bites with it, with the venom and sting formula. It's specifically designed for rattlesnakes and hobo spiders and brown recluses, but it has good benefits for black widows too. Okay, how much veterinary content will you add in the future? I'll be adding a lot. I'm doing lots of little, and they're shorter, quicker, more specific lessons, because all the other stuff's already there. I mean, there's already 100 lessons on stuff. No, that's not right. There's already about 250 lessons, if you include all the individual plants, on stuff that you can use in your animals and how to do it in your animals. It's usually not different. But yeah, I'll do one on hot spots because people don't get those. I'll do one on horse colic. People don't get that, right? I'll do one on parvo. They'll be very specific animal lessons. I'll do one on chickens. I'll do one on mastitis. Been working on that one a little bit. I'll put that one up. I was a dairy vet for 20 years. I know about mastitis. Okay, let's see. How much discount do we get for buying products if you're a student? Like I said, if you go to that student discount area, you get big discounts. Otherwise, most of the discounts are on live events and things like that, school stuff. Okay, can you mix multiple tinctures together and drink it? Yes, you can. I do that almost every day for something. Been fighting a cold this week, and I am winning. I have 0 symptoms all day. When it gets to be about 7 o'clock, I start thinking, am I getting a cold? And as long as I take my herbs, it'll knock it out, and I won't ever get the cold. But yeah, I'm taking 4 or 5 different tinctures. I pour them in a little bowl and put some water in so it doesn't taste horrible, and down the hatch. Okay, gastroparesis. Is there an herb I could use or maybe a tea that could help with that? There's a lot of herbs that can help with the gut. Send me an email on that. That's going to be a longer conversation. How do you press your tinctures when using powders? I just use a clean cloth, clean cotton cloth, and wrap them up and squeeze them. That's how we do it. We have pressing cloths on the website. Go look at them. What will the price increase please be, please? The price increase will be on January 16th. Is it the 16th or the 15th? 15th at midnight? 1-5? The 15th of January 2024, the price will be going up. And if I remember right, it'll be about $1,500. Right now it's $899. Okay. Just as a point of reference, I was looking at cell phones the other day, and they were like $1,800. They'll last 2 years. Okay. A good deer rifle with a decent scope will cost you that much, so. And the deer rifle will last longer than the cell phone, just so you know. Anyway, this is a lifetime thing. It's a tremendous investment. And again, it's still half or a third what it ought to be. It's a half or a third what a lot of the guys are charging whose schools aren't as deep and don't give you lifetime access. Okay. Brenda says, I just wanted to share how much I love your elderberry kit. Besides being delicious, the packaging is gorgeous. Those elderberry syrup kits are fun, aren't they? Pour a lad into your kids on their way to school. They won't get sick. We have milk cows and goats. Renee says, please do one on mastitis. Yes, I am an expert on mastitis. Did I tell you that? I had a milk lab, and some months we were doing over 5,000 samples a month in the milk lab, culturing for what bug it is and then going out and telling the guys what to do about it. I used to do consulting to dairies, goat dairies and cow dairies, on how to solve their mastitis problems. Mastitis was one of my things. Okay, how about a video on cat viruses and cat seizures? Yeah, we can do that. Cat seizures is pretty rare. cat viruses or not. Okay. Will the video lesson be available soon on cancer? The classes are great, Judy says. Yeah. So I'm redoing the cancer number 2. It'll probably end up being cancer number 2 and number 3 because it's going to be too long. And then I'll do videos of all of them brand new. Okay, those will probably be up soon. I was hoping to get those up within the next 7 to 10 days, but we'll see. Okay. What are those cold herbs? Cold herbs. Oh, cold sore herbs? Is that what you meant? Lemon balm's really good. Calendula is really good. Put the tincture on topically or make a salve. I always just put the tincture on topically. That's fastest. Knocks the herpes virus out. Doesn't cure it forever because herpes is the gift that keeps on giving. But it does knock it out so you don't get that cold sore. Also, we have a light, a cold laser on the website that's fabulous for cold sores. I don't even remember what it's called. It's called the lip sore, the luminescent. Anyway, go to the website and do a search for lip sore. You'll find it. That's a cool instrument. Evan, my IT guy, my son, like he used to, if he walked past a jar of peanut butter, he'd get cold sores. I mean, he had horrible cold sore problems, and he started using that thing. He hasn't had a cold sore for forever. So that's cool. It really does knock it back. I need something for fungi nails. Okay, well, tea tree oil is really good. Black walnut is really good, the tincture, topically. And there's some internal things. I have a formula called fungal topical. Look that one up. That one kills things. Does the body build up immunity to herb if you take it every day, Vicky asks. That's a really good question. It can build up resistance. I don't know if I'd call it immunity, but it's a really good idea. Some herbs you don't take every day and shouldn't, because of how they work and what they do. And we talk about that. If there's an herb you shouldn't be taking long term, we talk about it. Some of them you can take every day as like a tonic, vitamin-y, great thing. I mean, you can take burdock every day and it'd be the best thing in the world for you. I do recommend if people are taking herbs long term for chronic conditions, or for if you've got arthritis and you're taking joint support so your knees don't hurt, I do recommend people take a day off every couple of weeks to just kind of regroup and let their body clear things out, and then the next day that your body's all excited again. Okay, I think that's a good idea. Let's see. All right. Let's see. All right, okay, here we go. I got ahead of myself. Lynette says, my daughter's watched lots of Doc's YouTube content and done additional research as part of her homeschool science class. You know what? If you have homeschool kids, let them watch the school. I mean, everything in that school is one of the things I really focus on. One of the really important things I'm trying to accomplish is to take complex, important scientific ideas and put them into English. And if you got through high school, you can get through this school, all right? But you'll know stuff that doctors know, all right? Because I present it in a way that's comprehensible. If you have kids that are, over 12 or over 14, over 16, certainly, they can do this school and get a lot of really good benefit from it. Okay. And in fact, I've been talking to my daughter about doing some kind of a homeschool program that people can get, so the kids could even get their own accounts for not very much more money. We're talking about that. Just send me an email. Okay. Highly recommend the Cut, Bite, and Sting Kit. I used it a lot this summer on me. Yeah. The Cut, Bite, and Sting Kit's great. Tracy says, I was just told about you at the Nat Grow in Central Texas. Came straight home and found you just in time to catch you live. Great, Tracy. We're glad you're here. Tell Nat Grow thanks. My dog had spinal injury, Julie says, and her back end is paralyzed, but some feeling seems to be coming slowly back. Is there something I can do to help speed up potential healing? Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you have spinal injury and paralysis, any progress is good news. Any progress at all is good news. Okay. Um, I would look very carefully at herbs like Siberian ginseng and ashwagandha. Um, I would look at teasel. Um, I have a formula called Memory and Alertness that has most of those in it, not the teasel, but it has most of the other ones in it. But a lot of the herbs in that Memory and Alertness formula, and most people just take that so they can, remember their grandkid's name or do good on their college exams. Memory and Alertness is what it is. Or get past 3 in the afternoon without a Mountain Dew, because some of those herbs are stimulating. But I also use it on stroke victims. I use it on, you know, spinal injury animals like you're talking about. Um, and sometimes it really helps. Sometimes the teasel really helps. We have a whole, what did I say, like 4 or 5 lessons on the nervous system that talk about a lot of things like that. Okay, congestive heart failure in a dog. So congestive heart failure in a dog is when the dog's heart, the wall's thin and the heart enlarges a lot, becomes a big old sloppy balloon, and it doesn't pump very good because the muscles are all thin and silly. And so what happens is the blood backs up in the lungs, the dogs have fluid weeping into the airways, and now they cough all the time, and eventually they drown. Okay, that's what they die from. They don't want to lay down because when they lay down, they feel like they're drowning. So is there things we can do for that? There are things we can do for that. The medications are also very good. Your doctor is going to put them on enalapril and Lasix, right? Enalapril makes the heart work better, and the Lasix makes them pee more to get the fluid out of their lungs. But there's all kinds of herbs that'll make you pee more, and there's some pretty good herbs to make your heart bump better. So we have a formula called circulatory support. We have a formula called MOPP, M-O-P-P, which isn't a claim. It's just some letters I put together. Anyway, that's a diuretic formula. That's what I do with congestive heart failure dogs. But the medicines work good too, and those herbs can be used with the medicines. Okay, if you're doing both, that's okay in that case. I wouldn't use the MOPP and the Lasix together, but you can use the heart stuff, some hawthorn, some cayenne, some other things like that. Send me an email. I'll send you more information on that. Okay, 200-pound dog with an ear hematoma, redness down but not swelling, maybe due to itchy ears. I used ASA half tablet. I don't know what that is. Is that a homeopathic or something? I don't know anything about homeopathy. And castor oil to cure the mites and reduce swelling. Please help. So the swelling from that is a big old blood clot. There's nothing you can do to that except get the big old blood clot out. Okay. Hematomas in the ear. So a hematoma in the ear is when the dog's, itch, and bangs his ear and breaks little blood vessels, and they leak into this below the skin, and they make a big old blood clot. Okay. And it's always because there's something going on in their ears, because their ear's itching or something. They have ear mites, they have an ear infection, they have allergies. But yeah, there's things you can use to clean out the ear. Some calendula would be great as a tea. A little bit of tincture of calendula mixed with some water so it's not so strong. That's a good ear cleanse. That fungal topical formula, put a teaspoon of that in 2 ounces of water and make a solution to clean out ears. That works great too, and that'll kill bacteria or yeast or mites. That's a good solution too. But if he's got a big old thick fat ear, that has to be either drained with a needle or incised with a scalpel and drain stuff out. Have your vet fix that. I don't have a herb for that. Sometimes you need a mechanic. Angie says, just want you to know I signed up for your school in 2020 after I broke my back to help with my recovery. I learned so much, and my healing was almost complete. Just some minor numbness. That's so great. So great that it's helping and you're learning fun things. NQRR says, is there a lesson I can reference for benign essential tremor and what herbs to use? Not specifically. We do talk about some of those tremor issues and Parkinson's and things like that in the nervous system lesson. It would be nervous system number 2. And some of the things that we would do for Parkinson's, some of the other things might help with that. I don't know. I haven't treated that. Okay. So, yeah, Yum Baby says that the 16th is when the price goes up. It is going up to $14.49 to $11.59 on January 16th. That's Lucy. Yum Baby is a company she used to have that made the most adorable, gorgeous wigs for babies. Little hats and wigs. It's so cute. But anyway, Lucy is also a naturopath and an herbalist. She runs the whole company. She's the general manager of the whole company. So that's why she knows things like that the price is going to be $14.49 at 11:59 p.m. on January 16th of 2024. So sign up now. Okay. I was really ill in November. I tried many things, finally ordered your flu kit, and was able to turn the corner and get well. That's fantastic. We have that respiratory preparedness kit is what she's talking about. If I vacuum seal your herbs as soon as I receive them in the mail, will that keep them longer, or should I tincture them? Okay, so Chanzi's asking, what's the shelf life of herbs? And the shelf life of dry herbs is a year or two. If you vacuum pack them, that's a little better, but it's not going to be tons better. Okay. I'm getting a weird thing there. So yeah, I would, if you want to make, and I wouldn't tincture herbs the day before they're going to go bad in a year or two. I would tincture them the day you get them, right? If you're going to spend that kind of money and effort, make a good tincture. So yeah, vacuum packing will help a little, but it's not going to be a game changer. What can I give a dog that gets car sick? You might try a little bit of ginger. That might help. The most important thing might be to decrease the anxiety of the dog. Sometimes that's why they're getting sick. So sometimes a little bit of chamomile. We have a formula called Rest Easy. It's valerian, chamomile, and skullcap. Sometimes a little bit of that can help calm a dog so he doesn't vomit. Because sometimes the nausea is a nerve thing, not a moving car thing. If it's a moving car thing, ginger's probably better. The main thing is to get him used to it. And if it's an anxiety thing, you take him out to the car and you sit in the car without the car being on for 10 minutes. Then you go back in the house. And then you go out for a few days with the car on and sit there for 10 minutes. And then you go around the block and come back. And then you go around the block twice and come back. You know, sort of incrementally get him used to being in the car and having it not be a big deal. Sometimes that does the trick. Okay. I've thought of Isongba French press for tinctures. What do you think? I don't know what an Isongba French press is. I don't know what that is, Ruth. What's good for cold sores? Lemon balm topically is great. That little cold lip sore treatment device we have on the website's great. Calendula tincture is great. Lots of guys like to kill cold sores. What would I do for an ulcer in the colon? Well, the first thing I would do is go to lower digestive system lesson 3, probably 3 or 2, because we talk about ulcers a lot. There are herbs that can help with ulcers. So basically when you got an ulcer, you got a bacterial infection, and you have, you need to help the healing, and you need to soothe it, right? And so herbs like marshmallow, herbs that accelerate healing, like calendula, which is also an antibiotic, which is something we need. Herbs like spirea are good for ulcers, which doesn't make any sense at all because it's like aspirin on a stick. Why does that fix your ulcer? Well, it does other things too. Comfrey, topically or internally, can help with things like that. Shoot me an email. I'll give you some specifics. But that is something we talk a lot about in the school. At the beginning of the video, you showed 3 things to enroll at different prices. Does the $8.99 school have everything? What are the other 2 about? No, it doesn't have everything. Homestead Academy is the platform for a lot of schools. The Homegrown Herbalist School that you're paying $8.99 for gets you into that. But it also includes everything that's in that second school, which is the When There Is No Doctor course. The When There Is No Doctor course is just a smaller part of the Homegrown Herbalist School. The Homegrown Herbalist School is vastly better. It has all the search functions. It has the forum. I'm adding to it all the time. The When There's No Doctor thing's sort of a static, little, smaller guy. And if you have signed up, by the way, for the When There's No Doctor thing, let me know. I'll give you a discount on the big school because you've already paid for part of it. Okay. But no, that enrollment fee won't get you into, you know, if somebody else puts up a school on gardening or on, you know, belly dancing or whatever, that's a different school. You'll have to enroll in that school separate. Okay. All right. I don't plan on doing a school on belly dancing. I've thought about it, but I don't know where to buy the little symbol things you put on your fingers, and I'm not a great dancer, so I probably won't do that school. Okay. You're a wealth of information. Thanks for sharing. God bless you. Thank you, Gina. God bless you, too. Is there anything good for dry eye? I have a formula called Eye Support that helps a little bit. There's also some things you can make as a tea, and do topically on your eye. Plantain is good. Chamomile might be good. Anyway, Queen of Hearts, are there any classes on mushrooms and healing abilities? Almost none. I'm not a mushroom guy, and I ought to be. I talk about reishi, and I talk about some of the others. Some of them are really great, but that's something I need to do more on. I need to do more classes on that. There really are some phenomenal medicinal mushrooms. Okay, I'm a little, we talk about shaga, I use that all the time. So there's a handful of them I use a lot and talk a lot about, but there's also a lot of them I don't talk about that I should. So we'll get into that. Okay. Okay, I got scooted down again. Okay, do you have any info on Australian snake bites, specifically brown snakes? I know the venom attacks the nervous system. I don't know what a brown snake is. I'm guessing it's an elapid, which is the same family that mambas and sea snakes and cobras are in. That's what most of them are. Yeah, we talk about that in the venom and sting lecture. I would use the same formula that I'm using on the pit viper bites. A lot of the effects will be similar. Their venom is very different in some ways, but in some ways the things in that formula would still be helpful. But yeah, we do talk about elapids in the venom and sting lecture. Okay. Can a chicken with a broken leg be helped with comfrey? A dog tried to eat our chicken. Well, broken legs are mechanical things unless you had a way to, oh, thank you. Unless you had a way to, fix it mechanically, which is pretty hard on a chicken. And probably too expensive for a chicken. Probably not. If the leg's actually broken, you probably. The other thing you can do with that, there's an herb formula called shake and bake, and those herbs are good on chicken. But yeah, broken legs are hard, particularly on chickens. Okay, is Affirm the only option for making payments? Well, there's credit cards. You can get a credit card, and they'll be happy to let you make payments. Affirm's the only option that we're connected with. Okay. Beach Lady says, are you selling seeds? We do sell seeds now and then. You just have to watch. We don't have lots of seeds. We're trying to figure out how to do that, like from somebody else that can produce the seeds. There's some really good seed producers out there that I'm acquainted with that we could do that with. We're just trying to figure that out. We probably will be doing that. Okay. Teresa says, I use comfrey as a salve for back pain and other joint pain. Yeah, comfrey, in addition to healing stuff, has some great anti-inflammatory properties. Absolutely. Anything for pericardial effusion? Probably not. Probably not that one. That's a bad one. Natasha says, love your school. Will you offer support for your students wanting to move into clinical herbalism or business advice? Yeah, absolutely. We talk about it in the school, in the ethics and legalities, but we're thinking very hard, as soon as my life settles a little bit, about doing some intern programs and letting people come and do some cool stuff. That's sort of still in the works. What part of the circulatory formula gives the woody taste? I don't know. There's several things in that one that don't taste great. I don't know who's woody. Do you have any lessons or videos specifically on long COVID? I have had significant fatigue for 3 years. I have a blog article on long COVID that you ought to go read. It's called COVID Beat You Up, Now What? Go to homegrownherbalist.net, read that article. There's a lot of good ideas there for that. Do you have lessons on parasite loads and treatment of goats and sheep? I do have lessons in the GI tract, in the digestive system lessons. We talk about parasites. I'm going to do some more animal-specific parasite lessons because they're a little bit more involved with parasites than humans are. But we do have a formula called worms that works pretty good. Okay. If you use the affirm option, the first charge isn't for 30 days. That's right. She's talking to Ellen. Patty's talking to Ellen. Can you take them with medicines in people? Can you take herbs and medicines? We talked about that when I was talking about the school. Sometimes you can, sometimes you dare not. Okay? And don't ever without talking to somebody that understands both. Okay? But that's one of the big things we're doing in the school right now. We're creating a huge database of lessons that talks about pharmaceutical interactions with herbs. And nobody's doing that. I promise you. There's not an herb school in the world that's beginning to broach that subject because they don't have the background. And so I have a doctorate in veterinary medicine. I know a lot about drugs. My son-in-law, Brandon Rose, Dr. Brandon Rose, has a PhD in physiology. He knows a lot about drugs, studies all that stuff, and is a researcher, professional researcher. We're writing those lessons as we speak. In fact, he sent me a bunch of notes today, and we were collaborating on a lesson just this morning. So that will be a resource that you can search. You can put a word, you can put amlodipine in the search engine, and it'll pull up that database, that lesson, and say, don't mix it with this and that and the other thing. It's okay with these. Don't use that. Okay? So that you can make safer decisions. All right? Okay. If we have questions during this course, will there be a way to ask you questions? Absolutely. There's 3 magic ways to ask questions in the course. The first is, at the bottom of every lesson, there's a little place where you can ask questions specifically about that lesson. And it takes it to a special place on the forum just about that specific lesson, and I answer those questions. Or you can just go to the forum and do it yourself there. Or you can send me an email. Or you can call me. Okay? When you're in the school, you kind of have the I can bug Doc anytime I want card. And so, yeah, there's ways to get information. And I'm very anxiously engaged in wanting to help people with questions. I haven't been on the forum for a couple of weeks because my life's been insane. But I'm going to be on there tomorrow, and I'll probably be on there for 4 hours answering questions, okay? So there we go. My Pomeranian keeps having seizures. Is there something I can give him? You know what? I've done some herbal stuff with seizure dogs. You know, sometimes passion flower helps. Sometimes skullcap helps. There's some things that can help. None of the herbal stuff works as well as the drugs. The medications for some dogs, for that problem, the medications are the only thing that can keep them having any quality of life. Okay. Is there hope in getting off diltiazem and lisinopril for AFib? You know, there probably isn't because that's a electrical problem. Atrial fibrillation is an electrical problem in the heart where the electrical nervous system of the heart isn't working right. I doubt it. I mean, if it was the apocalypse, I'd say, you know, take this or that. But there probably isn't something better or as good as those 2 pharmaceuticals for that specific problem. Okay. Shirley says grapeseed oil is great for nail fungus. That's right. Okay. B. Heck says, you used to talk about doing the school with a friend in the videos. Is that still a thing? That hasn't been a thing for many, many years. It was called the Study Buddy program, and I used to do that. I started out for spouses, you know, because your husband's going to do it over your shoulder anyway. Why not give him his own account? And then people didn't have a spouse, so they wanted to do it with their sister, and then they wanted to do it with the neighbor lady, and then they wanted to do it with anybody they could find, and it ended up just being a 50% off coupon for people, and they weren't using it as a study buddy thing. And so one of the times when we raised, instead of raising the price, we just eliminated the study buddy thing. We're not doing it anymore. It was being taken advantage of and not used for its purpose. So yeah, we haven't done that for a lot of years. Okay, as Betty's Beach Lady says, I'm interested in the affiliate program, but I'm not interested in being connected to PayPal. Are there other options for receiving payments? There aren't right now. So the affiliate program is, you can be an affiliate. You don't have to be a student to be an affiliate, in fact. You can be an affiliate for the just an affiliate. If you have a desire to share, maybe you want to pay for your own school by helping other people get into it. That's okay. The commission on a school is 20% if you're an affiliate. Okay, so any of you that are already students and are affiliates, you ought to be telling your friends to sign up because it's inexpensive right now, and maybe they'll do that and make you some money. Anyway, I don't have a way to do it besides PayPal. And PayPal isn't perfect, and they think some things I don't think, they won't let you pay for your deer rifle through PayPal, and I think that's stupid. But I don't care. They're allowed to be stupid. It's their business thing. They're not the way they want to run it. I don't get hung up on, and I don't know what, if there's any other bad, evil thing PayPal's doing. I really don't know. I really don't know anything about that. That's how the affiliate program's structured. We don't create the affiliate program. We're using another service to manage all of that, and we don't have the resources to manage it ourselves. They only use PayPal, so that's the way to do it. I would say go ahead and get the PayPal account and get your payments through them, and every time they send you money, stick your tongue out at them and go to the bank. That's what I would do. Okay. I have myocarditis. What can I do? So myocarditis is an inflammation of the heart. There are anti-inflammatory herbs and antibiotic herbs you can use. Send me an email because you're probably on some meds. Okay. Is there anything to help with neuropathy in the legs and feet due to diabetes? Absolutely. Ginkgo is really, really helpful sometimes, as are other herbs. Another thing that's really helpful is alpha-lipoic acid, which is an amino acid. It's like a vitamin. It's not medicine. Alpha, like ALPHA, like alpha the letter, hyphen lipoic, LIPOIC, alpha-lipoic acid. You can buy it anywhere that sells vitamins and things. Sometimes that really helps. Peripheral neuropathy in diabetics. But ginkgo's good too. And there's some other herbs that are good too. Okay. Are you familiar with POTS? And do you discuss in the course? I don't know what POTS stands for. I don't know. I use POTS to make oil infusions. Does that count? Okay. Beach Lady, Shervin doesn't like PayPal either. Okay. I don't like PayPal either, but I don't have anybody else I can do it with, so that's what we do. Okay. Do any herbs work on clearing cataracts? Not really for an adult. I have cleared up cataracts, juvenile cataracts, on a couple of cases in puppies that came on very abruptly in a puppy. But old cataracts in old folks, you need a mechanic for that. Okay. So what would you recommend for a large nasal polyp? That's a mechanical problem. You're going to have to get that cut out. I don't have anything that make that go away herbally. Can you freeze dry herbs and keep all the quality in them? That's a good question, Shannon's asking. Freeze drying, some herbs don't like heat, like anybody in the mint family. If there's a lot of volatile oils, essential oils in the plant as part of the medicine, you don't want to get them hot. And freeze dryers get hot sometimes. Most freeze dryers you can control the temperatures, and if it's not getting over 100 degrees or so, you're probably okay. If it's getting much higher than that, you're starting to beat the herbs up. Some herbs could care less if it gets hot, okay? But it depends plant by plant. The other thing is, even if you freeze dry the herbs, honestly, I don't think they're going to last more than a couple of years. And they say, oh, but food lasts 25 years if you freeze dry it. Absolutely it does, because fats and proteins aren't very complicated. You know, your refried beans and your mashed potatoes and your pork chops aren't going to change very much in 25 years because the chemistry of them isn't that complicated. But the aucubin in plantain, that's not going to last 6 months, even if you do freeze dry it. Okay? And so the medicinal properties of a plant can be long-term preserved in alcohol. And some of them have very long shelf lives, and you could freeze dry them, and that'd be great. But a lot of them, it wouldn't be any better. Okay? So I don't see freeze drying as a vastly better option than just air drying herbs. It is a little better, and if you want to do the work and spend the money to get it done, your herbs will be a little better for a couple of years and maybe a couple of years longer than usual. But I'm not going to think that 25 years from now they're going to be just as good as they were the day I freeze dried them. My refried beans will. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Can I get a scholarship to the school? We don't have anything official in the works right now. We've been talking a little bit about that. We'll see how that goes. Are fresh herbs more potent for tincture making than dry herbs? Fresh herbs in some cases are better. In some cases, they make the tincture not nearly as good because there's too much water in the herb. I use dry herbs for everything personally. But there are some herbs that the fresh herbs just as, has low enough water content that it doesn't matter and it's a little better. Yeah. But I use dry for everything. Teresa says ginger helped her dog not get car sick, so that's good. Let's see. Creatures Great and Small says, I encourage you to integrate medicinal mushrooms in your practice. Me too. I've been encouraging myself to do that for a long time. I do use some, but I need to be using more. Herbs that can replace steroids. Depends why you're using the steroids. I have a lot of anti-inflammatory herbs that can be just as good for, joint pain and stuff. If it's autoimmune disease, that's a whole different project we talk deeply about in the school. And I just can't give you a quick, take this one, because it's a big project to resolve that and manage it. But it is something we talk a lot about in the school. We have a whole lesson on autoimmune disease. Okay. So, RVing the dream, 60-year-old lady wants to give the course to her son in her will. Nope, we're not doing that. I have lots of 80-year-old ladies that are in the school. So yeah, nope, it's for you. I have a male cat who keeps urinating by my front door. He's since he was little, not every day, but often. I think it's a behavioral thing. It is a behavioral thing. He's marking his territory. He's telling other kitties to stay out of his house because he loves his mother, and that's the way it works. With cats, rule of thumb for litter boxes, sometimes cats don't pee because they don't like the litter box. Sometimes it's because it doesn't smell good. Sometimes it's because it smells like somebody else. They don't like that. Sometimes it's because they had a bladder infection once and it hurt in the litter box, so they're not going in there ever again. So I recommend with cats, the rule of thumb is you have one more box than you have cats. So if you have 2 cats, you have 3 boxes, and you throw the box away every 6 months or so and get a new one. All right. Other than that, a lot of that's behavioral and it's hard to manage otherwise. Okay. Earthy Artist says that her dog didn't like the car, or his dog, I don't know if he's a his or her. He started giving him a treaty when he got in the car and he liked it, right? Perfect. Tinnitus, there are herbs that can help with tinnitus. Go to the website and look at inner ear imbalance. Those are the herbs I use for tinnitus. Sometimes it helps, not always. Lots of weird things can cause tinnitus. The Resimax tuner, which I also sell on the website, sometimes really helps with tinnitus. Does calendula help with staph infections? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've cleared up MRSA infections with herbs, one of which was calendula in that formula. I have a formula called Bug Buster that has antibiotic herbs in it that I've had good luck with. Okay. We're almost done, and then we're going to be done because Evan's tapping his watch. Okay. Okay. Oh, postural orthostatic hypotension. Yeah, I know what that is. Okay, that's what POTS is. Sorry. Send me an email. That's longer. Upper respiratory in cats. That's really hard. Send me an email on that one. It's usually because they have a herpes virus. It gets complicated. Send me an email. I'll go through that. I'll write a thing on that in the school too. If you're in the school, poke me and in fact, I'm going to write it down right here. URI cats. What else did we say? Somebody wanted mastitis. All right. Oh, hotspots. I was doing on hotspots. I'll do that too. Okay. Okay. Anything for glaucoma. Ginkgo biloba can sometimes help with glaucoma. I have a formula called Eye Support that can be supportive. Again, everything I've said tonight, by the way, don't take anything if you're taking pharmaceuticals without talking to somebody, okay? And don't take anything if you're pregnant or nursing without talking to somebody, all right? I harvested yarrow leaves this fall. Are they as potent as harvesting leaves and flowers early in the growing season? Are yarrow leaves alone as good as the flowers? The leaves are almost as good as the flowers, number one. And if they looked happy and vibrant and green and good, they're fine. If they were starting to look beat up like they thought winter was coming, don't harvest them. Buy some. Okay. Harvest dry, freeze dryer has a setting for temperature. Yeah, fabulous. That's what you do. Okay. That's what we do. We have one. Herbs to help rheumatoid arthritis. That's another autoimmune disease, and it's complicated. Yes. There are herbs you can do for the inflammation. There are herbs you can, and things you can do, some of which are herbs, for the autoimmune issues there. We talk a lot about it in the school, but that's a big topic. That's not a quickie. Shoot me an email. Dog's glaucoma. That's another one that's, if he's on meds, he says he's on meds, so I'd have to know what meds he's on before I can make a record. I live in Denmark. Can I get in? Absolutely. I have students from Denmark. Nope, that's not true. She moved. No, she was from the Netherlands. I have a Denmarkan too. Anyway, yeah, I have students all over Europe. Absolutely, you can get in. I have students in South Africa and Australia and New Zealand and everywhere. I have students in Israel. Okay, you bet. Denmark's good. Okay. Crohn's disease. There are some things you can do to manage Crohn's. There isn't anything you can cure it with. But there are some things. Send me an email, Teresa, and we'll talk to you about some things you can do. Okay, so Half Acre Homestead, I'm wondering if you could talk about what kind of practice we could be capable of after completing all the materials. What range of illnesses, herbs, etc., and what types of illnesses? Well, you know what? It depends how engaged you want to be and how focused you want to be on your learning. But the information you need to do about anything is in the school. And if you're a student enrolled in the school and you got a weird case come up, go to the forum and let's talk about it. Shoot me an email. Let's talk about it. We'll do a lesson on it. You know, I mean, herbal medicine can be used for all kinds of things. And your level of capacity and competence and courage is based on your experience and your information. And that's a personal thing. But yeah, everything that I'm doing, you could do with herbs if you focused on the school and learned the stuff. You really could. Okay. UTI in dogs, same as UTI in humans. Diuretics and antibiotic herbs. I have a formula called UTI on the website. Look at those. And that stands for urinary tonic intervention. It doesn't stand for any other UTI thing. I don't know what that would mean. Anyway, look at that. Okay. Is your website the best place to sign up? Yeah, just go to the website, click on the thing that says Our School, and that'll show you how to sign up. He says, thanks, Doc and everyone, for everything. Hashimoto's, again, that's an autoimmune disease. Don't take kelp if you have Hashimoto's, but send me an email. That's complicated. We have a whole lesson on autoimmune stuff in the school, at least one, but that's a big deal. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Yeah, there's herbs for that too. Milk thistle, burdock. There's some other things. We talk about that. We have a whole lesson on the liver. We talk about that in more detail. Okay, Dorothea. Hey, Dorothea, how are you? We know Dorothea. I made a tea out of mullein leaf and put it in a diffuser, which I sat next to my coughing cat, and she recovered quickly. No more cough. Yeah, the steam from mullein is almost as good as the mullein. People smoke it too for the medicinal effects. It doesn't have any fun herb effects, but mullein in a steam, if you put a towel over your head and suck the steam, that helps your lungs too with a cough. Good for her. Okay. Thanks and thanks and thanks. All right. Anything good for ringworm? Look at the fungal topical formula. Asthma, we have a formula called asthma, AZMA. Look at the herbs in that. There's a lot of herbs that are bronchodilators and can help you breathe. We have a whole lesson on that. Okay. Um, okay. I think we ran out of questions. Ha! What do you know? We ran out of questions. If your question didn't get answered, because I'm scrolling through these 100 miles an hour trying to let people go home, send me an email and I would be delighted. Um, I'm Doc Jones from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. Our next webinar will be cases for the students. So we would love to have you join us on that journey. It's lifetime enrollment. It's absurdly inexpensive until January 16th. After that, it's quite inexpensive. So we encourage you to take the plunge. Now's the time, lifetime enrollment, and we'd love to learn with you and teach you great stuff. I'm Doc Jones from the Homegrown Herbalist School of Botanical Medicine. Have a great night.